let companies know that there's a yay or nay, that they need to focus on getting more women on their boards. So obviously I measure by what's the end result, and that frustrates me, but the activities along the way are really what I can control and try to push. And it can also be one by one. So sometimes I'm in communication with a CEO of a company, and I'll let them know that they are in the portfolio or not in the portfolio. If they're not, I may say, you have 2 women on your board. We can't even look at your financials until you have more women on your board. What's the story? So it can really be a one-by-one situation and conversation, and that's part of our activism, too, that has to happen as much as possible.
Right. And so, when we come back to how is gender material for investing, are there companies who are feeling like they are missing out on investment capital because they can't be considered by, for example, the Parity portfolio?
That is one of my goals. I want companies to feel as though completely, as you said, Sarah, that they are missing out because money is not being invested in them because of that. And unfortunately, as a financial advisor, I'm not able to say the assets under management that we have within Parity or its financial results, but other than to say we have been very pleased by the strong financial results. And I want the companies, I feel as though these boards and companies and CEOs should feel as though they're not trying to do everything they can do to have the strongest returns they can have for their investors, so that they should really be doing something. So, I mean, if you said to them, if they were not following some other metric for shareholder value, investors either wouldn't invest in them or would take money out from them, and I want them to feel that pressure. And I'm not alone in this. Others are putting the pressure on as well.
Right. And I think the corollary to that is that you actually are pleased with the financial returns, and that says something about how gender can be material to investing.
Right,
yeah.
right,
Exactly. So, Angela, you've obviously launched the Gender Equality Index more recently, but it's gotten a tremendous amount of press. How do you feel like, what kind of impact have you had so far? Do you feel that you've had so far? Or what do you want to have as you go forward?
Well, Sarah, you brought up a really important point when you talked about companies feeling like they might be missing out. And that's one of the areas for why the GEI is so important, because this is a product. It is not anecdotal. It's not ideological. When Mike Bloomberg asked me, why do we think companies will be forthright in answering our questions and participating in the survey and having the intent of being on the GEI, my answer was simply because this is not a diversity and inclusion effort. This is not an extension of HR practices, but it's a product like any other on the Bloomberg terminal that's a data tool, and it's meant to be put in front of investors. So when investors are looking at this data and making investment decisions based on it, then companies will care, because companies don't want to be left out. And if their information isn't within the ESG tab, and it isn't findable, and it isn't analyzable by people like Eve and other investors, then companies miss out.